You wake up tired. Not the normal kind, not the "I didn't sleep enough" tired. A deeper one, the kind that's already there before the day even starts. And what makes it worse is this. On paper, your life is fine. You're functioning. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Nothing is falling apart. And yet, you feel exhausted all the time. Pause. This isn't burnout the way people talk about it. There's no breakdown, no collapse, no dramatic moment. Just a constant weight you carry quietly. You go through the day. You answer messages, you show up, you smile when needed. But everything costs more energy than it should. Even rest doesn't seem to work anymore. Pause. If that sounds familiar, this video isn't here to fix you, because nothing is broken. This is about understanding why your energy never fully comes back, and why pushing harder only makes it worse. Stay with me. This might explain more than you think. You tell yourself it's just sleep. Maybe you stayed up too late. Maybe you need a break. Maybe next week will be better. But deep down, you know that's not it. Because even on days when you sleep enough, even when your body isn't doing much, the exhaustion is still there. This kind of tiredness doesn't live in the muscles, it lives in the mind. It comes from constantly thinking, constantly reacting, constantly being available. Your brain never fully shuts down. It jumps from thought to thought, from responsibility to responsibility, from expectation to expectation. And over time, that mental noise turns into fatigue. Not loud, not dramatic, just constant. You don't feel like you're collapsing. You feel like you're slowly draining. That's why rest doesn't feel like rest anymore. Because your body stops, but your mind keeps working. And that's where the real exhaustion begins. The exhaustion you feel isn't caused by one big problem. It's caused by hundreds of small ones. Unfinished conversations, things you should reply to, decisions you keep postponing, expectations you never agreed to, but still carry. Your mind is always holding something. Even when you're doing nothing, you're thinking about what you should be doing. Even when you're resting, you're mentally preparing for what's next. There's no clean break. And that constant mental load creates a background pressure you stop noticing until it drains you. This is why you feel tired for no reason. The reason is everywhere. Your brain was never designed to be alert all the time, to process endless information, to stay reachable, to always be on standby. But that's exactly how modern life works, so the exhaustion builds slowly, quietly, day after day. Not enough to stop you, just enough to wear you down. And because there's no single cause, you don't know what to fix, you just feel exhausted all the time. You try to rest, but the tiredness doesn't leave, and that's what confuses you the most. You sleep, you take breaks, you scroll, you sit in silence, yet nothing fully resets you. That's because what you're experiencing is not physical fatigue alone. It's cognitive exhaustion. Rest used to mean stopping the body. Today, your body may stop, but your mind never does. Even during rest, your brain keeps tracking time, responsibilities, unfinished tasks, and future pressure. There is no true off state anymore, so rest becomes shallow, incomplete, ineffective. And over time, your nervous system adapts to this constant stimulation as if danger is always nearby. You are not relaxed. You are suspended. This is why weekends don't recharge you. Vacations help for a moment, then the tiredness returns faster than before. Your system is never fully recovering. It's only pausing the damage. And the most dangerous part is that this state starts to feel normal. You forget what real rest feels like. You assume everyone feels this way. You assume this is just adulthood, but it's not. It's a signal, a quiet one. And the longer it goes ignored, the deeper the exhaustion settles into your baseline. This is not weakness. This is overload. At this point, You might be asking yourself a dangerous question. If I'm doing everything right, why do I still feel like this? And this is where most people turn inward and blame themselves. They assume they're lazy, undisciplined, ungrateful, or broken. But the real drain on your energy isn't effort. It's constant self-regulation. Every day, you are managing impressions, emotions, expectations, tone, posture, productivity, and reactions. You're not just working, you're performing stability. You're monitoring how you sound in emails, how fast you reply, how calm you appear, how motivated you seem. This invisible labor never shows up on a schedule, but it consumes enormous energy. And because it doesn't look like work, you don't give yourself credit for it. You never feel done. There's no finish line, just maintenance. Over time, this creates a low-grade exhaustion that sleep cannot fix because sleep doesn't turn off vigilance. Your system stays alert, even in silence. That's why you wake up already tired, not because you didn't rest, but because your mind never stopped guarding your life. This kind of exhaustion doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from never feeling safe enough to fully let go. And once you see this, everything changes. Because the solution is not more discipline. It's learning how to stop leaking energy where you don't even realize it's going. Here's the part no one tells you, and this is where most advice completely fails you. Rest doesn't fix this kind of exhaustion. Vacations don't fix it. Sleeping more doesn't fix it. Even quitting your job wouldn't fix it. Because the problem was never physical energy to begin with. It's mental permission. You don't feel tired because you're doing too much. You feel tired because your brain never believes it's allowed to stop. Even when you sit down, part of you is still alert, still waiting, still scanning for what's next. That's why scrolling feels numbing instead of refreshing. That's why weekends disappear without restoring you. You're technically resting, but internally, you're still on call. Your nervous system doesn't trust stillness anymore. And when rest becomes another task, something you're supposed to do correctly, it stops being rest at all. This is why productivity culture quietly destroys recovery. It teaches you that even relaxation must be optimized. But the body doesn't recover through optimization. It recovers through safety. And safety comes from knowing nothing bad will happen if you slow down, disconnect, or disappoint expectations, even briefly. Until that belief changes, no amount of rest will ever feel like enough. You're not failing at recovery. You were never taught how to truly exit performance mode. And once you understand that, the exhaustion finally starts to make sense. Not as a flaw, but as a signal. Here's where something strange happens. And most people quit right here. The moment you actually slow down, the exhaustion doesn't disappear. It gets louder. Your mind starts racing. Your chest feels tight. You feel restless, almost guilty. And you think, see? Slowing down doesn't work for me. But this reaction isn't failure. It's withdrawal. You've been running on tension for so long that your nervous system mistakes pressure for stability. When the pressure drops, it panics. Silence feels unsafe. Stillness feels wrong. Not because you're broken, but because your body learned that movement equals control. This is why real relief feels uncomfortable before it feels peaceful. Your system has to relearn a new baseline, one where nothing urgent is happening, and that's okay. The mistake is trying to force calm. Calm cannot be forced. It has to be allowed. The first real shift isn't rest, it's permission. Permission to leave things unfinished. Permission to not respond immediately. Permission to exist without producing. And at first, that permission feels threatening. But if you stay with it just long enough, something subtle changes. Your breathing deepens. Your thoughts slow. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly. This is the beginning. Not of motivation, not of productivity, but of recovery that actually works. You don't fix exhaustion by pushing through it. You fix it by teaching your system that it no longer needs to brace for impact. And once that lesson lands, the weight starts to lift. This is where things finally become practical, but not in the way you expect. You don't recover energy by adding habits. You recover it by removing invisible drains. Most of your exhaustion isn't coming from what you do. It's coming from what you carry. Open loops, unfinished conversations, decisions you keep postponing, mental tabs that never close. Every unresolved thing quietly taxes your system, and the body experiences that tax as tiredness. Here's the shift. Stop asking, "What should I do to feel better?" Start asking, "What can I stop holding?" You don't need a morning routine. You need fewer internal negotiations, fewer promises to yourself that you don't keep, fewer moments where you override your own limits. The fastest way to reclaim energy is to reduce friction, not increase discipline. Say no faster. Decide slower. Finish small things fully instead of starting big things endlessly. Even one closed loop sends a signal of safety to your nervous system, and safety restores energy more reliably than motivation ever will. This is why some people feel lighter after canceling plans, not because they're lazy, but because their system finally relaxed. Recovery isn't passive, it's selective. You don't need to change who you are. You need to stop leaking attention in places that no longer deserve it. Do that consistently, and you'll notice something unexpected. You won't need as much rest anymore because you're no longer exhausted from resisting your own reality. If there's one thing to remember, it's this. You were never exhausted because you were weak, lazy, or undisciplined. You were exhausted because you stayed alert for too long in a world that never tells you it's safe to stop. Your body adapted. Your mind adapted. And exhaustion became the language they used to get your attention. This wasn't a personal failure. It was a survival strategy that overstayed its welcome. The moment you stop fighting the tiredness, the moment you stop trying to fix yourself, something quietly realigns. You realize you don't need more energy to live well. You need less internal resistance, less self-pressure, less constant proving. Recovery doesn't arrive as a burst of motivation. It arrives as a soft exhale, a sense that nothing terrible will happen if you slow down. And from that place, energy returns naturally, not forced, not optimized, not chased. If this video resonated, it's not because you learned something new, it's because something you already felt finally had words. And that's usually the first sign that change has already started.